Hi, it's Mrs. Hatfield with Healthy Bodies, Healthy Minds. Today is our last lesson. Today's lesson is all about celebrating all the things we have done this year in Healthy Bodies, Healthy Minds. We will be doing some reviewing and also going over how we take what we've learned and put it into practice with being healthy role models. There will also be a quiz. Let's get started with a review of what we've done. Let's review the lessons, what we've gone over this year, starting with lesson 1. In our first lesson, we talked about washing our hands. Let's see what you remember. Which side of your hands should you wash? So think about when you're washing your hands. It should be both sides. How long should you scrub your hands for? You know this one. 20 seconds. Is hand sanitizer good to use? When soap and water isn't available, hand sanitizer should be used. Make sure you rub your hands together until they are dry. Do you remember what lesson 2 was? Let's find out next. Lesson 2 was about my plate. Let's find out how much you remember about lesson 2. How many food groups are on my plate? Think about it for a minute. There are 5. Can you name all 5 food groups? So we would have fruit, vegetable, grains, protein, and dairy. What color are each of the food groups? Let's start out with fruit. Do you remember what color fruit is? That would be red. How about vegetables? Did you get green? Grains, those would be orange. Protein would be purple. And then that little dot up top, dairy would be blue. Can you name a food from each of the food groups? There's lots of options. Let me tell you my options. So for fruit, I would say apple, but there's lots of answers that you can come up with. Vegetable, corn, grain, bread, protein, chicken, and dairy, milk. On to lesson 3. School lunches are what we talked about. Does a school lunch require milk? Think about it. When you go into the lunchroom, or if you're eating in your classroom, is milk usually there? Yeah, low fat or fat-free. Do you remember how many fruits and vegetables a lunch needs? This one's a little bit tricky. You can have 1 fruit and 1 vegetable, or choose 2 fruits or 2 vegetables. How many grains does a lunch need? It needs to have 1. What about protein? Also needs a protein. Now we'll move on to lesson 4. Lesson 4 was smart snacking. What is an anytime snack? Think about that. Anytime snack. An anytime snack is a snack that we can eat anytime throughout the day because it's good for us. What about a sometime snack? What would that be? A sometime snack is a snack that doesn't come from my plate, and we should only eat them once in a while because they're not as nutritious for us as anytime snacks. Remember, a snack should have, or we should aim to have, less than 4 grams of fat, less than 150 milligrams of sodium, less than 3 grams of sugar, and more than 20% the daily value of calcium. Let's check out our last lesson, lesson number 5. The last lesson we had, we talked about the parts of the plant. Let's see what you can remember. How many parts of the plant are there? And kind of take a look at that picture down below to give yourself an idea. So how many parts of the plant are there? There would be 6. Can you name all the parts of the plant? I'm going to start at the bottom and move up. See if you get the same answers I do. So we'd have roots, stem, leaves, flowers, fruit, and seeds. Next, we're going to talk about being a healthy role model. Let's practice what we learned. We're going to go through 8 scenarios. These are going to be situations you might come across. I would like you to try and find healthy solutions to each situation. Let's get started. Your class or group is having a party. Most kids bring in cookies, pop, or chips. You realize that you could be a good role model by bringing in something healthy and that tastes good. What could you bring? I'm going to give you just a little bit of time to think about that, and then I'll give you my ideas. Did you come up with some good answers? There's lots of them to choose from. Some things I would choose to bring in would be smoothies, and then also maybe a fruit tray or a veggie tray. Let's see what our next scenario is. You are at a friend's house after school. You feel like doing something outside, like tossing a football or shooting some baskets. He wants to play video games. What could you say to encourage him to do something physically active with you? So again, I'll give you a little bit of time to think about that, and then I'll give you some of my suggestions. Did you come up with some good ideas? Let me share mine with you. Maybe trade time with being inside and outside, like a half hour inside and a half hour outside. Maybe you can even act out the video game you are playing outside. Let's go to our next scenario. You make a healthy sandwich for your brother or sister. They don't want to taste it because they don't like the way it looks. What could you say or do to encourage them to try it? So again, I'll give you a little bit of time. Did you come up with some good ideas? I'm sure you did. Here's mine. Role model it for him or her. You take a bite, they take a bite. Have them help you make it. Sometimes when you're involved in making the food, you're more apt to give it a try. Our next scenario. Your family is going on a car trip. You usually take snacks that are sometimes food, like candy. Your mom wants to take something healthy. What could you suggest? What would you like to take on a car trip that's easy to carry and doesn't make a big mess? See what you come up with. Did you come up with some good snacks? I'm sure you did. Here's some things I like to take. Apples and peanut butter, grapes, cucumbers, maybe even some crackers and cheese. Now for scenario number 5. You are late for school, but you know you should eat something. What could you grab to eat on the way that would be easy to eat and is also healthy? There's some suggestions right on the screen for you. How about a piece of fruit? Maybe a blueberry muffin, yogurt, or even just take dry cereal. Let's see what's next. Your family is having a birthday party for your grandma. Your mom is making cupcakes, but she also wants to serve a few healthy choices. What could she offer? I'm sure you came up with some great ideas. Mine would be maybe a fruit salad, veggies with dip, or maybe some healthy fruit muffins. 2 more scenarios to go. You notice that your friend, who gets school lunch every day, hardly ever eats the fruit or vegetable that is offered. You know that eating fruit would be a healthy choice. What could you say or do? Maybe you could be a good role model and make sure you are eating your fruits and vegetables. Remind them that fruits and vegetables have vitamins and minerals to help them to have energy to get through their day. Encourage them to pick fruits and vegetables that they like so they're more likely to eat them. Now it's time for our last scenario. Your teacher wants to reward kids with something other than candy. What ideas do you have for him or her? So think of some things that you would like for a reward. Maybe getting some extra free time, a new pencil, eraser, extra time outside, maybe a new book. Healthy snacks like fruits and vegetables instead of the candy, all will be good choices. Now it's time for a quiz. Let's see if you can pass Healthy Bodies, Healthy Minds for this year. Now it's time to see what you learned this year with Healthy Bodies, Healthy Minds. Let's put you to the test. What do you remember? What is shaped like a plate and teaches you about healthy foods? We've mentioned this one already. Can you come up with the name of it? Hopefully you did. The name of it is My Plate. How much of your plate should be filled with fruits and vegetables? So picture my plate. How much of it is fruits and vegetables? If you came up with half of your plate, you would be correct. So each time you eat, half of your plate should be filled with fruits and vegetables. How often should we eat things like candy, cakes, and donuts? Those would be sometimes snacks. So things that we can eat once in a while or sometimes. Which food group gives us calcium for strong bones? If you guessed the blue section above my plate, which would be dairy, you were correct. How many of your grains you eat should be whole grains? So think about grains. How many of them should be whole grains? So half of your daily grains should be whole grains. How long should you wash your hands for? You know this one, it's 20 seconds. How many minutes should you be physically active each day? That would be 60 minutes. Great job! You've passed Healthy Bodies, Healthy Minds for this year. Thank you for joining me today. I hope you had fun this year learning about healthy behaviors and continue to use them now that the Healthy Body, Healthy Minds lessons are finished. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I hope that I get to see you soon. Hi, it's Mrs. Hatfield with Healthy Bodies, Healthy Minds. Today I would like to do a quiz with you. It's called a pop-up quiz. So we are physically going to be popping up. So to start off with, we're going to crouch down on the ground, and then if you know the answer to the question that I'm asking, you're going to pop up. If you don't know the answer, you're going to stay crouched down, and then when I give the answer, since then you know the answer, you're going to pop up. We'll also be doing some motions while I explain the answer to the questions. Are you ready to get started? I know I am. So I'm going to stand up, find some space around me. Please do the same, and let's get started with our pop-up quiz. Did you find a space with a little bit of room to move like I did? Great, let's get started. I'm going to be asking you a question, and you are going to pop up if you know the answer. So in order to pop up, we need to crouch down. Go ahead and use your hands for a little bit of balance. So I'm going to be asking you a question. If you know the answer to the question, you're going to pop up. If you don't know the answer, wait until I give you the answer and then you can pop up. So my first question is, what is the plate called that has all of the food groups on it? If you know the answer, go ahead and pop up with me. The answer is my plate. If you didn't know that answer, that's okay. Go ahead and pop up now. Go ahead and march in place. I'm going to talk a little bit about my plate. So my plate has food groups on it. Can you think of all the names of the food groups? Remember, we have fruit, vegetable, protein, grain, and also dairy. So there are 5 food groups to my plate. Go ahead and crouch back down for the next question. What food group would you find chicken in? So think about those 5 food groups. Where would chicken be? I'm going to pop up because I know the answer. Protein. Did you get that one right? This time, go ahead and put your arms out to the side and do some arm circles. Let's talk about the protein group. What color would that be on my plate? If you knew it was purple, you would be correct. Go ahead and crouch down for our next one. What food group would we find a whole grain bagel in? If you knew it was grains, you would be correct. Let's go ahead and do some side steps. So side step with me. What color would the grain food group be on my plate? Did you get orange? If you did, you're correct. Go ahead and crouch down again. Half of your plate should be what 2 food groups? I know what it is. Fruits and vegetables. Go ahead and reach on up. Do you know what colors fruits and vegetables would be on my plate? I'm thinking fruits are red and vegetables would be green. Crouch down for the next question. What food group would we find calcium for bones in? Dairy. Go ahead and do some squats with me. What color would dairy be on my plate? If you said blue, you would be correct. Squat on down again. Would an apple be considered a sometime snack or an anytime snack? I'm thinking an apple would be an anytime snack. Go ahead and reach across your body. Remember, an anytime snack is a snack we can eat anytime because it's healthy for us and we would find it on my plate. A sometime snack is a snack that's not quite so healthy that we can eat once in a while. Go ahead and crouch on down. Last question. How many minutes should you be physically active each day? Do you know that one? If you said 60, you are correct. Go ahead and march in place again with me. Remember, we should try and get 60 minutes in each day. You've already gotten some minutes in just from doing this activity with me, but make sure you're getting a full 60 minutes in. Thanks for joining me today. I hope you had fun with the quiz, and I hope you had fun getting up and getting moving. Have a great day. Hi, it's Mrs. Hatfield with Healthy Bodies, Healthy Minds. Today I would like to read a book with you called I Will Never, Not Ever Eat a Tomato by Lauren Child. Let's go ahead and open up to the first page and see what happens. I have this little sister Lola. She is small and very funny. Sometimes I have to keep an eye on her. Sometimes Mom and Dad ask me to give Lola her dinner. This is difficult because she is a very fussy eater. Lola won't eat carrots, of course. She says carrots are for rabbits. I say, what about peas? Lola says, peas are too small and too green. One day, I played a good trick on her. Lola was sitting at the table, waiting for her dinner, and she said, I do not eat peas or carrots or potatoes or mushrooms or spaghetti or eggs or sausages. I do not eat cauliflower or cabbage or baked beans or bananas or oranges, and I am not fond of apples or rice or cheese or fish sticks. And I absolutely will never, not ever, eat a tomato. My sister hates tomatoes. And I said, that is lucky, because we are not having any of those things. We are not going to eat any peas or carrots or potatoes or mushrooms or spaghetti or eggs or sausages. There will be no cauliflower or cabbage or baked beans or bananas or oranges. We don't have any apples or rice or cheese or fish sticks. And certainly no tomatoes. Lola looked at the table. Then why are those carrots there, Charlie? I don't ever eat carrots. And I said, oh, you think these are carrots? These are not carrots. These are orange twiglets from Jupiter. They look just like carrots to me, said Lola. But how can they be carrots, I said. Carrots don't grow on Jupiter. That's true, said Lola. Well, I might just try one, if they're all the way from Jupiter. Not bad, she said, and took another bite. Then Lola saw some peas. I don't eat peas, said Lola. I said, these are not peas. Of course they are not. These are green drops from Greenland. They are made out of green and fall from the sky. But I don't eat green things, Lola said. Oh, goody, I said. I'll have your share. Green drops are so incredibly rare. Well, maybe I'll just nibble one or two. Oh, said Lola, quite tasty. Next, Lola saw the potato. I will not eat potato, so don't even try, not even mashed. Oh, this isn't mashed potato. People often think that, but no, This is cloud fluff from the pointiest peak of Mount Fuji. Oh, said Lola. In that case, a large helping for me. I love to eat cloud. Charlie, she said, those look like fish sticks to me, and I would never eat a fish stick. I know that. These are not fish sticks. These are ocean nibbles from the supermarket under the sea. Mermaids eat them all the time. Oh, I went to that supermarket one time with Mom. Yes, I know the ones. I think I've had them before, Lola said, gobbling. Are there any more? And then she said, Charlie, will you pass me one of those? And I said, what, one of those? And Lola said, yes, Charlie, one of those. And I couldn't believe my eyes because guess what she was pointing at? The tomatoes. And I said, are you sure? Really? One of these? And she said, yes, of course. Moon squirters are my favorite. You didn't think they were tomatoes, did you, Charlie? And that is the end of our book. I will never, not ever, eat a tomato. I hope you enjoyed listening to it as much as I enjoyed reading it. Hi, it's Mrs. Hatfield with Healthy Bodies, Healthy Minds. Today we're going to be making a veggie tortilla roll-up. Let's take a look at the ingredients that we need. So first up, I have a tortilla. Makes sense that we need those since they're in the name of the recipe. We'll be using 4. I also have cream cheese, spinach. We'll be using cucumber, bell pepper. I chose to use orange, olives, and then in this can we have our tomatoes and then also diced chilies already in it. This is a fun recipe to make. Let me get everything together that I need and let's get started making our veggie tortilla roll-up. Our recipe calls for 1/2 cup chopped bell pepper of any color. To cut mine, I like to stick my fingers into the bottom and then just kind of tear it apart and then get out the seeds and then also the white part, which is called pith. It doesn't really have a whole lot of taste, so I like to take that part out. Once I get everything out of the pepper, I'm going to take my knife and I'm going to cut it into strips. Now, depending on how big you want your pieces is how big you're going to make those strips. Once I have all the strips cut, I'll turn it sideways and then you'll notice that it's going to be cut into those chopped pieces. Again, depending on how big you want your pieces, you can make those strips bigger or smaller. Now, again, we only need 1/2 cup of pepper. If I cut this whole pepper, I'm going to have more than what I need, but that's okay because I can always use it for another recipe or just to snack on it. My family happens to like bell peppers, so we will use them up. Once I get everything cut, I'm going to put it into a bowl and we will add it to our recipe in a little bit. We also need 1/2 cup chopped cucumber. So to chop mine, I'm going to cut it in half, then cut the end off, and then cut it also in half lengthwise. So you can see the seeds and everything inside the cucumber here as soon as I get it cut. Then I'm going to flip it over and I'm going to cut strips of the cucumber. So I'll cut it lengthwise in strips. And then I'm going to hold those strips together and then I'm going to cut them into small pieces. Again, depending on how big you want your pieces as to how big you should cut the strips and then also when you're cutting across. Since we only need 1/2 cup, we won't need the whole cucumber. But again, my family likes cucumber, so we'll even eat them plain. And then I'll do the same for the other half, cutting it in strips and then cutting it into small pieces. Next up is spinach. We need 2 cups of fresh chopped spinach, or you can use shredded romaine lettuce. Instead of using a knife to chop my spinach, I just like to take the leaves and use my hands and tear them apart. After we get our 2 cups of the spinach, we are going to be ready to put together our veggie tortilla roll-ups. Let's take a look at our ingredients. Here we have our 4 tortillas. Added to that, we have our bell peppers, our chopped cucumbers, and also our spinach. And then we also have to add our olives, and then our tomatoes and green chilies, and then we'll need cream cheese. Let's take a look at how we're going to put this recipe together. Let's go ahead and put our veggie tortilla roll-ups together. We're going to use 1 tortilla at a time. I'm going to use my spatula and kind of mix the cream cheese up a little bit. We'll need about 2 tablespoons of cream cheese for each tortilla. I'm going to use that spatula and just spread that cream cheese around. This will help the vegetables to kind of stick to the tortilla so they're not always falling out. Next up, we'll add our bell pepper, and then our cucumber. Spinach is up next. Remember, if you have more ingredients, you can always add more on than what the recipe calls for. Olives are next. And then our tomatoes and green chilies. I kind of like to roll mine a little bit, but you could always just fold it over itself or kind of do one fold and then another fold too. I hope you get a chance to make this recipe, and I hope you find out that you enjoy it as much as I do. Thanks for joining me today. If you would like to make this Michigan Harvest of the Month recipe, go to MIHOTM.recipes and search veggie tortilla roll-ups.